Hold on. So you're telling me last year you had your first quarter where you hit six figures?
Yeah, my first six-figure quarter was in the third quarter of last year.
Dude, good
I,
job.
it was shocking.
Yeah?
Look, I think I interview a lot of new agents and talk to a lot of new agents, and everyone wants is that the goal of a new agent is I want to make six figures, right?
Yeah.
That's what they,
I mean, it's the
that's what I
standard.
thought. It's a standard thing, and I was like, how now? Okay, now I'm 13 years in. It's not like you read about the Wonderkins or you see them up on stage at a thing, and they're like they did 150 deals in their first 6 months, and the problem with all that stuff on stage is it's all
Yeah.
survivor bias. We trained our team in mindfulness, and we got 160% increase in sales. Insignificant, statistically insignificant amount of time of your life
Yeah.
that you're actually present.
It's true.
So if the only thing that's producing results is action, the only time you can act is now in the present, then you better get really fucking good at managing the present, about being present. And that is where all the magic happened for me.
Today's episode with Aaron Hendon, it really changed the way that I thought about business and think about business. So he was able to apply one thing to his business and to his team, and they were able to close six figures worth of sales in one quarter. So stay tuned for that. But I would just caveat that with be warned, there's quite a few F-bombs in this episode. So if that's not your cup of tea, I might just skip it. But I would say the information in it is worth it if you can hang for it. With that, this episode has been sponsored by my friend Andy Bovender. Him and his team have closed more than 5,000 transactions. So listen, if you ever have questions about systems and process or structure or how to build, call Andy. He knows this stuff inside and out. But more importantly, if you have a client who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas and you want them to have an amazing experience, call the Bovender team. They will 100% take care of them from A to Z. Within that, if you want to hang out with other high-performing agents, you want to just learn from peers and colleagues, be able to volley thoughts and ideas off of people and or share referrals, either inbound or outbound, take a look at the link below for the Inner Circle group. If you click that link and put your name down, we'll add you to the wait list. And as always, I'm your referral partner out of San Francisco, Sean Kunkler. Hold on. So you're telling me last year you had your first quarter where you hit six figures?
Yeah, my first six-figure quarter was in the third quarter of last year.
Dude, good
I,
job.
it was shocking. It was,
Yeah?
it was, I mean, look, I think I interview a lot of new agents and talk to a lot of new agents, and everyone wants is that the goal of a new agent is I want to make six figures, right?
Yeah.
That's what they,
I mean, it's the
that's what I
standard.
thought. It's a standard thing, and I was like, how now? Okay, now I'm 13 years in. It's not like you read about the Wonderkins or you see them up on stage at a thing, and they're like they did 150 deals in their first 6 months, and the problem with all that stuff on stage is it's
Yeah.
all survivor bias. You see people on stage and they do whatever they do,
Yeah.
and it's survivor bias. It's that example of survivor bias about the airplanes in World War II.
No, I don't actually know that one.
So the survivor bias was discovered by an engineer, a really smart engineer, because the planes kept coming back. The American planes kept coming back from Germany with holes all over them, and some of the planes wouldn't make it back.
Yeah.
And some of the planes made it back, and they had holes all over the wings. And the initial response of the Air Force was, well, let's reinforce the place where the holes are. And then one smart engineer says, no, those planes are making it back. You want to reinforce where the holes aren't, because those holes, that's where they're getting shot down.
Great observation.
Right? Survivor bias is if you get someone on stage at a conference and they rocked at 100 deals and they door knocked or whatever those people, and you see them and they're great. But
Yeah.
that's like, I want to know about the 50,000 that failed.
Yes.
What about everyone who tried that didn't do it right?
Yeah.
Those people don't make it to the stage. So you just see this and you're like, oh, that's the way to do it. No, those are the people that made it home.
Yeah.
You got to find out what holes, where did they get shot down?
Yeah.
So 13 years, finally do a 6-figure quarter. And I can't talk about it without getting really woo-woo about it. So I don't know how woo-woo, we didn't talk about
Dude, this is do
in the
whatever
green
you
room.
want, man. I
Okay,
have no rules.
Okay. So I'm a big Esther Hicks fan, big law of attraction fan, and I'm big, I like that area where neuroscience intersects with woo-woo, Einstein said it's all energy, it's all vibration. Okay, well, it's the least woo-woo, the epitome of not woo-woo is the most woo-woo. Because all I did on that was continue to take what would be called, from the law of attraction standpoint, aligned action. Like, it's a little bit beyond what do I feel like doing today, because mostly what I feel like doing today is watching Sports Center and eating ice cream.
As we should.
At any given day, especially now, given I'm in Seattle and the Seahawks just had this unbelievable run. How to put that in there? Sorry. I know you're the Bay Area, so I want to make sure I get that in.
Just jab it in. Go for it.
Jab it in. Just
don't hold back, man.
Reference in. But it's more like, and this comes from my mindfulness practice and why I got so really fascinated and turned on and developing myself in mindfulness and developing others in mindfulness, is it allows all the noise to quiet down.
Yeah.
And what's important starts to, the volume comes up on it.
Yeah.
And the resistance, so much of meditation is about giving up resistance.
Yeah.
And when you give up resistance to the way things are, what shows up naturally is aligned action, is what are you passionate about, is gratitude, is, that kind of a life. So really all I did was just keep it sounds so fucking weird, and I want to keep saying it till it doesn't sound weird anymore, because all I did was kept managing my vibration. All I kept doing was, I made calls. It wasn't like I sat around. The problem is with the law of attraction, the big downside or the misconception is, I'm going to sit, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to get my vibration high, and I'm going to open my door and there's going to be listings.
Yes.
No.
I completely agree.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. It's kind of, to go back to sports, is you have to visualize, making the point, getting the point, but then you have to go practice getting the point. But it's internal and external in equal and proportionate. Here's a woo-woo random tangent for you, but have you ever read Into the Magic Shop? It's Into the Magic Shop.
No.
It's
Tell me.
James Doty.
Nope.
So this is a crazy story. So I worked with this amazing, wonderful woman, Karen, back in the day, and I was like in a rough patch, and she's like, I went to this party, and she had this amazing interaction with this random guy who happens to be the author, and he's like, oh, let me give you a copy of the book, and it's a signed copy. And then she read it, loved it, and gave it to me. And now, to give you context, he was like a top surgeon, but the whole book is about like the practical application of applying the neuroscience to manifestation. It's a great book. And so she gave it to me. I read it. Fast forward a decade. I think I was on the podcast. Somebody mentioned the book, and I was like, oh, let me order it. And I reordered it. And it comes. I'm like, wait a second. And I go and I pull it off my bookshelf. I'm like, I actually not only have the book, but I have a signed copy of the book. And I didn't even, the dots never connected. So, of course, I was like, all right, universe, here you heard. I'm going to read it again. But it's really good. But the interesting part, and my actual point to all of this is He's in the medical field, and he actually draws the connection of how it works on a more scientific level. I'd be willing to bet the hardest part of your day isn't the work. It's the mental load. It's the decision fatigue. It's the shuffling of priorities while you're already playing catch up. You're checking off things from your to-do list just as fast as they're getting added. And I'd also be willing to bet some of those meaningful business relationships you've had in the past have begun to fade. Ace Your Day is a physical deck of 52 strategic cards designed to halt fatigue. Refined by real-world results, this system replaces chaos of a to-do list with a curated set of high-impact actions. It's simple. Set a timer for 15 minutes, draw a card, and make your move. The deck handles the thinking. You drive the business. Building a secure business should not be a guessing game. Let's stop overthinking the day and trust a system that prioritizes connections and relationships. Let the deck handle the strategy. You focus on the results. Click the link in the description to reclaim your day 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt. There's, everything that we consider to be woo-woo is turning out to be, scientifically validated.
Yeah.
The more we design the machines to look for it, because here we go. Here's a tangent. Right. One of the beauties of mindfulness and living a mindful life is, this goes back to what we said about, you don't just sit and meditate and gold lands on you. The $1 million, the $100,000 six-figure quarter didn't just happen because I stayed in my house and thought good thoughts. There, be nice. That's something to work on. But the only thing that produces results is acting.
Correct.
And that's, if you get flat about that, good. All right. The only thing that produces results is action. And the only time you can act is now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The only time action happens is in the present. So if you can transform, or if you can manage to be present, you have an opportunity to act in a way you don't if you are not present. And
correct.
Well, let's just let that sit for a second. Mostly we're not present.
100%.
Right? And I don't think anyone argues about anything that I've just said. No one's like, well, yeah, but no. Any exception you get to that proves that you're not present. Oh, what about that sunset I saw, or that moment of ecstasy, or that holding my newborn? Yeah, those absolutely you were present. And that just illustrates the statistically insignificant amount of time of your life that you're actually present.
It's true.
So if the only thing that's producing results is action, the only time you can act is now in the present, then you better get really fucking good at managing the present, about being present. And that is where all the magic happened for me. It was like, oh, being mindful. And then meditation. I'd become something of a meditation evangelist. I'm applying to be on all these podcasts, and they say, what's your role at the company? And I'm like, chief meditation evangelist.
It's like Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
His passport says shepherd.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Chief meditation evangelist. Because people have a real weirdness about meditation.
They do.
That they think meditation is about emptying your mind, or that you do it on a hilltop, or that you need incense and sit cross-legged. And it's not that. I mean, sure, you can do that. Like, I went on a 10-day silent meditation retreat last year. And if I say I go on a 10-day silent meditation retreat, you picture what? What does that look like? What am I doing? What are people doing in that retreat?
I am, and my brain immediately went to, is it Esalen, which is Northern California. And then I just imagined, for some reason, a log cabin and people doing chores, but no one talking, is what my brain immediately went to.
Good.
Which is also a case in point that I wasn't present. I was somewhere else.
Yeah. But your brain comes up with that picture. Or during the day, people are sitting cross-legged meditating in a big room together. And that is what that looked like, but that's what people think meditation always looks like.
Sure.
They don't think meditation looks like savoring your morning coffee.
Yeah.
They don't think meditation looks like closing your eyes and taking 4 slow, mindful breaths.
Yeah.
They don't think it looks like walking through the woods and noticing something that you haven't, anything that you haven't noticed before, like actively looking for something you've never noticed before. All of that's meditation. And the science is flat, just flat, clear, 3,000 studies in the last 50 years to back a 2,500-year-old practice
100%.
that 10 minutes a day will grow your prefrontal cortex and shrink your amygdala. So it grows the portion of your brain responsible for rational thought and shrinks your fight, flight, or freeze brain. So you become more responsive and less reactive. Okay, well, sign me up.
Yeah.
Tell me how that wouldn't help in a sales. I mean, you know, we trained our team in mindfulness and we got 160% increase in sales.
That's incredible.
Because they don't, you know, so I feel like I'm talking a lot.
No, I think it's fascinating, and I'm on the same page with you through and through. I was blessed to have a hippie mom who I was well before my teens.
Is that your little Tibetan bell you just rang? That's good.
Oh no, I literally just spilled the water and it landed on my mug. So now I have water all over my desk.
Oh, there you go.
But my mom, like after my parents got divorced, she actually took me to Mohammed, who taught me to meditate. So I actually learned it at a very young age, and so it's funny, but like that side, the woo-woo side is, I'm usually pretty neutral about it. Like I'm not like I know some people just immediately shut it down, and I'm like, oh, like I think there's something to it. I don't always know what it is. But I agree. And I find when I do actively meditate, and I would love to talk about your book in a second because I feel like it hinges all on this. But when I actively do it, I do find when I go into a really hard, say, negotiation, or I'm having a difficult conversation with a client, it's really this, and I've had it a couple of times, it's a very strange feeling. It's almost out of body where everything just slows down.
Yeah.
And I'm able to just listen to them, take a beat, but then it's like everything else is turned up. My sense is I can empathize better with where they're at, and I understand their approach. It's really interesting, and I don't have like tangible, quantifiable words to put around it.
Yeah.
Other than it's a very different experience when you're constantly doing that practice.
Yeah, well, there's a reason why Phil Jackson has the number of rings that he has, and he's the Zen master. And that his protege, Steve Kerr, went on to have 5 more rings. There's just not accidental phenomena. That's not like, oh, well, he was... No, that's, you know, people talk about in hustle culture, it's, you know, we wear busyness like a badge and burnout. And, you know, the joke around my office always was, you know, because we laugh at real estate agents, new agents that are like, yeah, I'm on a flexible schedule and I want to be my own boss. And we're like, yeah, you get to work whatever 70 hours a week you want.
I had that quote on my desk for the longest time to remind me to not do that shit. Hey friends, I have a small favor to ask. For me to continue to bring you outstanding guests who share their best kept secrets for growing a successful real estate business, please take a moment and hit that like button so agents like you can find this content. And also hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Now back to our show.
Yes. Because that's, you know, that's the world of it. And that's the world that we live in, is this hustle. Hacks. We were talking about hacks in the green room before we started. You know, Everyone wants the quickest way to get the result, to extract
Yeah.
the result from the environment, which is a hustle culture phenomenon to be looking for a hack. You're,
It really, yes, it is 100% a byproduct of the same.
I
It's the
got to
same
get this as
flipping thing.
quickly as I can so I can get on to the next thing. Okay, well, that's just completely invalidates the present moment utility for anything.
Yeah,
And if you don't think buyers and sellers and the people sitting in front of you know that, then
yeah,
you're fucking nuts. You're nuts. You're not really with them. You're like, oh, let me get this. You're not listening. You're
yeah,
having them sign, and
yeah.
so there's this.
It's similar. You know, it's funny. It's like when you can tell when you're. I always love sitting in front of a really masterful salesperson versus somebody really crappy. And the crappy person, they're not listening to you. They're waiting for their turn to talk and try to override what you're saying.
Mhm.
Whereas the master is like empathetically taking you down this trail. And it's like you just want to go. It's
Yeah.
just it's so smooth and effortless.
Well, they're listening for what's in the way of you fulfilling what you want.
Yeah.
And they start the conversation. You know, one of the things I started doing, and it increased my close rate, you know, the ability to get contracts signed
Yeah.
by like 75%, was whenever I start a meeting now, and I mean this with my wife, I do this with my kids, I do it with clients. I say, oh, before any kind of, I don't do this all the time with my family, but before an important conversation, and certainly before I start a listing or a buyer presentation, I
Yeah.
ask, tell me what do you want to get out of this conversation? What's your intention for this conversation?
Powerful.
And then I know, because who knows, maybe they just wanted a sign and they just want to know, I
Yeah.
don't know. And now they feel honored. It's their meeting. I'm there in service. You know, we live in a
Yeah.
business, Sean, where it is the most common lip service to give. We're in a relationship business, not a transaction business, right?
No,
That's
we're in a luxury.
oh,
It's a luxury relationship business.
yes, right, right. Like at the one of my last, I'm with the XP, and the last conference I went to, they had oh, what's his name? The guy who wrote Unreasonable Hospitality.
Will
Just
Will
Guardia. Good.
Guardia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Good guy.
fascinating. Fantastic. Fantastic presentation. Fantastic book.
Yeah.
Everything is right on. And then you come out and there's just nothing service oriented. I mean, you know, I love EXP and I love Keller Williams and everyone's, but the culture of the country of the world of business, it's not even the country. The culture
Yeah.
of business is transactional.
Yeah. It's
And you're
true. Dude, I'm gonna say it's funny. Are you familiar with Patagonia's business structure?
it's so fucking good.
It's amazing. It's a flat structure
Yep.
where everybody basically picks what they want to do and no one really reports to anybody. And I was watching an interview with the founder and somebody said, "How do I do this within my business?" And he said, "You can't.
Yeah.
You either build it from the beginning like that or you don't."
Or you
But
don't.
you but the culture is the
Drive it.
culture. It's set.
It's set. It was funny. I was just with my some friends. We were hanging out, and this guy's wearing a Patagonia coat. He goes, "Yeah, I don't remember how it came up, but he's like, I just got this back because I send it in every couple of years to get it repaired." And he's like, "It's 25-year-old jacket,"
wow.
and you know his son wears it and gets at a fire, wore it at a fire, so it had like a million little holes in it,
Oh shit.
and he had sent it back, and they fixed it and sent it back to him for free
That's
because
wild.
you know, okay, you spent $300 for the jacket, but you're dealing with people that I swear the thing that knocks me off my mindfulness thing, the biggest challenge I have, the single biggest time where I become just a raging asshole is when I'm on the phone with a customer service rep that has
Oh,
no idea what customer service is. It's so dehumanizing when you're talking to someone who's got a policy that they're enforcing.
yeah.
It's like, have you ever bought or sold anything in your life? Have you ever been a customer? Do you have any idea what you're saying to me? This would cost your company $15. I have a
Yeah.
$535 charge just came up because I want to refi my house or I want to whatever. And my credit got pulled and my loan officer said, you got a $535 charge back from Verizon. I was like, do not start with me about this thing. do not start with me about that. I no longer use Verizon because it was just, oh my God. So bad.
It's really funny. And it's like, I think most industries are not careful with their language, and it's nothing infuriates me more than being on hold for 10 minutes and the recording comes up that says you're an important customer or you're important to us. And I'm like, that's bullshit, because if I were, you would have hired another staff member to take the call.
Yeah, higher than normal.
Like,
no, you don't know what
it's
normal means. You don't know what normal
every
means.
time I call, it's like this. So that is the base.
This is fucking normal. One time in my life. No, I think twice, but I remember the first time. So I'm 63, and this had to be. I certainly was. It was 59, so I'm an old, long time of life, 59 years. One time, the person came back on the line, and they had known. I got transferred.
Yeah.
And the rep that got on the line knew exactly what I needed. They didn't have me tell the whole story again.
Yeah, that never happens.
I was like, this is amazing. It was Southwest Airlines. And I was like, I can't believe I don't have to tell this whole story again. That is the most amazing system. And that is a system. That's that's why you can't apply that in a business that's not built that way, because there's no system to hold it.
Yeah.
And so, having none of this has anything to do with real estate, although
I think it does. I really genuinely think it does. Because so we have a hard rule on the back end of our business. If a client asks the same question, like if multiple clients have asked the same question at the same point in the transaction, then we didn't do a good job of pre-educating them. And that's a systems failure. It's not a person problem.
Right.
And so then we as a team have to collectively put something in advance to remedy that. Just like we were joking about, like, oh, it's we have more volume than normal. It's bullshit. It's always your volume. So then there should be something in front of that.
Yes.
And I think a really great example of this, love them or hate them, they're in Seattle, but Amazon, they continuously look for ways to reduce the amount of clicks. If you return something, it is the most pain-free experience.
It's the best.
Out of any company you'll ever work with.
It's the best.
It's like 3 clicks and you're done.
And they don't ever hassle you about it. They don't, and now it's super easy. You either print the return tag, or there's drop-off stations,
and there's no fees. It's there's no smoke and mirrors.
It so makes sense, and they built the biggest company in the world on the back of the customer experience is all that matters.
Yeah.
And, that's that's at the heart of unreasonable hospitality.
Exactly.
Give them
applied
a story, real estate, give them something to talk about.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to talk about you, and they want to buy a house every 10 years. They have no reason to talk about you. And the amount that you would have had to have done for them to get them to bring you up in a conversation is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give them some level of service that leaves them with what? That you were really thinking. I'll share this one because he gave this example of an agent. I just thought this was such a good, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do this. I mean, but so it's New York, and it's a very different market, and we don't sell condos, and I don't do that world, but he was selling and buying a home for someone.
Yeah.
And every time he went over to the listing side while they were getting ready to move, he took a picture of what was inside the fridge.
Smart.
And then gave all the pictures to his assistant. And so when they bought the new house, he said, just stock the fridge with this stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay. I mean, that, or what are you going to get, a $4 bottle of Prosecco from Walmart, from Costco, and give it
Yeah.
to them, and yay, you got me a bottle of Prosecco. I
Yeah.
mean, which is fine. It's you thought of them, you got them something, but it's not a story.
Yeah. And
It it
it
doesn't show
doesn't
that you gave
auto,
a shit.
yeah. I mean, there's a quote. It's if you're willing to do what everybody else is not willing to do, you'll have what everybody else doesn't have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like that
Hey,
same, it's that philosophy, and it's not the bare minimum. It's way exceedingly beyond.
and it doesn't cost anymore. It didn't
No,
cost this
and
guy anything.
it didn't, it just was, it's creative.
It's
It's like
creative.
creative thought. And that goes back to your earlier point. If you're out of fight or flight, you're resourceful. It's like
If
proven.
you're present.
If you're not in a high stress situation, you are absolutely more resourceful.
Yes.
It's proven. And so when you're at that property, you're more resourceful. You will come up with these different
Yeah, you can
ideas.
actually hear things you couldn't hear before.
Yeah.
You're not worried about, am I going to get the listing, or is this going to sell? You're like, what does this human being need?
Yeah.
What do they
Yeah.
need that they're not saying because they can't see it yet, but I can see it because I'm here. They're so
Yeah.
stressed. I, my God, moving, it's the most expensive, least performed, most emotionally impactful transaction,
Yeah.
excuse me, of people's lives. And it's the busiest. I mean, geez, they have to touch every single thing they own 2 times.
It's true.
I mean, that's
And
insane.
understand a mountain of papers, make significant
Timeline.
decisions, rush timelines. Everybody's breathing down their neck to get stuff done. Yeah,
Yeah, what can we take off their plate? What can we do to, make this, you know,
and it's funny when you put it in context like that, you then think, shit, stocking their fridge is like, that's a bar of entry.
yeah,
It's like
right,
you did the minimum at that point to make their life a little easier.
right.
Like, and it, like most people, you and I both, the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, that is a massively significant. But now as we're unpacking it, I'm like, that's actually kind of minimal. Like
Yeah, let's,
that's good
do,
service.
yeah, so it just depends on the, I mean, it depends where they're moving, a lot of different things, but it's individualized, it's personalized, it's
Yeah.
their deal. And I think that's all part of the kind of thinking that's available when you're not threatened,
Yeah.
and you're present, and you're just available in the moment for what's
Yeah.
wanted and needed, and you really care about that person. You're really
Yeah.
there for them. You really are in a relationship business, not a transactional one. They'll sign with me, they won't sign with me, they'll get a better deal with someone else. Good, let it,
Yeah.
whatever. Just tell me let's find out what you need. Let's discover it together.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really value this conversation. It's really pushing me to think differently. And it's interesting when you're in that fight or flight mode, it's fight, flight, or freeze is
Yeah.
actually the full.
Right.
When you're in that mode, it's all big, right? You either run, start swinging, or you do nothing. But the fine motor skills are out the window. The fine decision making is out the window. But if you back up and enter this situation with a different mindset, the meditation,
Ella.
it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
It's a whole different experience. It's a whole different. And you and I have been in those deals where you damn well know the agent on the other side is escalating the whole thing because they're so frantic. They're in a hyper fight or flight mode and they're compounding the entire,
Yes.
they're compounding the whole situation. And
Yes.
you're like, can we just take a beat?
That's what's going to be best for our people in this one.
Yeah.
Not what's going to be easier for you, and what's going to be the best, easiest, most fulfilling outcome.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't like hacks, particularly because they're not interested in the most fulfilling outcome. They're mostly looking for the quickest outcome.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, I can see that. They're almost opposing targets. So It's interesting. Tell me a little bit about this book that you're working on, because I feel like
Sure.
these pieces all parlay
Yeah, they all
together.
come together inside some conversation for that. So I I'll just share a little bit about where it came from, where the whole
Yeah.
idea for this came from, because I think people can relate. Because I I heard in some episode you're from the East. You're from the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm
Where
from Connecticut.
okay, fine. I went to school at SUNY Purchase. Um, I got an art degree from SUNY Purchase,
Mm.
and raised in New York. I'm a New York Jew, so my whole DNA is to worry and fret, and things are never so bad they can't get worse, is my family creed. So that's how I grew up, and
Yeah.
I it was all fine, except I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is 2023,
I
and
feel like that's the East Coast culture, by the
it
way.
is. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's first of all, if any East Coast ethnicity will fit into that, right? Um, but so that's I'm always on edge for that kind of thing, always worried.
Yeah.
And I was at a retreat with my wife in 2023, and it's this beautiful place in Sonoma,
Mm.
and great food, and I love we'll be married 28 years this year, so that was our 25th, and um, I don't have a better friend or someone I love more than her. And the kids are but now older, so they can take care of themselves, and they're both
Nice.
healthy. And I've got 5 deals in escrow, and things are fucking good. This is good. This is a good life. But I'm worried. I'm at this retreat, and the worry stands out in relief. And I was like, okay, that's what is this about, right?
Yeah.
I had the time to look, and uh, I noticed that I was playing a game, and like in a moment of an epiphany came, and I was like, oh, I'm playing a game called Get Enough Stuff, so I never have anything to worry about. Which,
Mm.
like enough deals and enough money, and then I won't have anything. Won't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a completely Sisyphusian. I don't know. It's a game you can't win. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Sure.
and it's a game I don't even want to win. I really thought about it. I was like, shh, I have kids. I don't, if God forbid something happens, I don't have them I could worry about. That would be insane. So I got interested in, okay, well, what else could I do with my life? What other game could I play? And I thought, well, maybe I could control my focus
Mm.
and choose what I worried about. Because there's things that I could put my attention on.
Yeah.
And I got interested in uh I've been a meditator since I was, I don't know, 19 or 20, on and off.
Interesting.
Yeah, on and
Yeah.
off, but mostly off. And I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time to go back to that. And I found some gratitude meditations, which, as a woo-woo leaning person anyway, I was like, oh, gratitude, good. That's good. And I found so much power in them, so much ease and joy in
Mm.
those. And I got clear that if I could train my team in this, it would be different than what I've been training them in. And like we got to a
Yeah.
point in our training where I couldn't get them to do any more work except tell them to dial more.
Yeah.
They weren't going to do any more deals unless they made more calls. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that, because if I don't want to call more people. And if I really wanted to train them in calling more, I have them do bold, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
if everyone knows what bold is, just smile and dial. And it's great. It's fine. It's, like you said, block and tackle. It's good. But I didn't want to train people in that, because they could already get that from someplace else. And I thought if I could
Right.
train them in mindfulness and meditation, it would be really, really useful for them. And
Yeah.
so I set out to write a training program.
Mm.
And in 2025, I got certified as a mindfulness instructor in 24. And then in 25, I did a couple of iterations of this thing. And then I rolled out a course called How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World.
Mm.
And I ran my team through the training. It's 9 weeks.
Wow.
And
That's intense.
it's 1 hour a week,
That's not bad. Okay.
1 hour Zoom call a week, and then they meditate 10 minutes a day. And it's a different meditation every week. So it's a different meditation. For me, is like going to the gym.
Yeah.
Mindfulness is how you live your life.
Yeah.
you go to the gym, you not to get good at lifting round iron things. You go to the gym and lift round iron things so you can lift your grandbaby when you're 85, or that you have enough energy to do what you want to do. But it's not about the gym, and meditation's not about there's no prize for being a really good meditator. You don't win anything. I've checked, I've looked, because I feel like I should win something. But it's a practice. You just do it to practice. You do it to do it. And then it develops in your brain new neuronal pathways. It changes you physically. The same way eating and exercise changes your body.
Yeah, it does.
Meditation changes your brain in the same way. It is not woo-woo at all. So I trained my team in that, and they increased their sales by 160%. Our agent retention went up 86%.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I thought, this is good. And I started doing it with outside agents and outside people. And I had my old team leader. I was with KW for 7 years, and my old team leader did it. And she texted me during it. She said, I've just closed more this quarter than I did all last year. This is the most amazing training ever. And so we're working out getting more of her agents in it.
That's amazing. It's
it was
bonkers,
amazing.
But amazing.
It was bonkers.
So good.
So good. And now I put the training manual for that book, for that course.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what if I could put this in a book and people could read the book and do the meditations on their own, post the meditations up online. And
that's great.
Multimedia version of it. And so I'm in the process. I'm actually at the designing the cover stage of the book. It's edited. It's ready to go. I just got to pick a cover and launch it. And we'll see where that goes. But I've been running these cohorts now, 9-week cohorts, 4 or 5 times a year. And then I train teams. There are teams that come to me and say, we want you to train our team in this. And we set up a weekly Zoom call, and we do 9 weeks. And it's not about smiling and dialing. There's really nothing about real estate in it.
Yeah.
Particularly, although if everyone on the call is a real estate agent, we talk about deals and the way clients are and what's stopping them from dialing, and what gets in their way, because everything's about objection. This is good. This is a really good example of the craziness of our industry. 2 things. One is every coach in our industry talks about mindset.
Yeah.
They all do.
They all talk about it's all the same shit.
It's all, but none of them really, very few of them, and in real estate, I haven't seen one yet that says, okay, do this and you'll get a positive mindset. Take these actions and you'll get a positive mindset. This is what produces a positive mindset. They all just talk how important it is. And I'm telling you, do this, like lift those weights and your muscles will grow. Sit for 10 minutes a day and you'll wind up with a positive mindset. It's math. It's not like, oh, maybe, I don't know. No. Do this. And then, the guest that just dropped, Debbie, was it Debbie something?
Debbie DiMaggio, yeah.
Debbie DiMaggio. Love that. Mindset mastery. No, mindset. I just got a book. Yeah,
she has a book. It's mindset.
Some mnemonic that she goes mnemonics.
Yes, I love that you listened to the episode. Thank you. I really deeply appreciate that.
But anyway, point is, that's a great framework. If the person doing that framework is in hustle culture, they're going to do that framework to get through it, to get to the result, which is going to produce a result. But if the person doing that is present and available and mindful, and then they they slow down and they do that work, they're going to get an elevated result. I promise.
Correct.
This is the pre-work for any of the other frameworks that you're doing that work. This just works. So I, work it out with people to train their teams in this, because
I think
it matters.
I think it's so good, man. I think it's so good on so many levels. And my past life, before getting into all of this real estate and podcasting and all this stuff, I ran martial arts schools, and I taught tons of kids classes. I taught meditation classes, and it was always really interesting. We had the youngest group was 4 to 6 year olds, and the 4 to 6 year olds, we would have them. They learn forms, and you've had children, 4 to 6 year olds. They're
Yeah.
crazy. They're
They're
crazy
crazy.
little, like they just want to run around and
Have
play.
energy.
But we'd have them meditate, and their meditation was practice your form in your head, move by move.
Right.
And what was always fascinating to me, the new kid couldn't sit still, eyes open, looking around, and then the child has been doing it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, perfectly still, great posture, like eyes closed
It's a
at 4
practice.
years old.
Yeah,
And
because you can train people into
you can train them.
it's training the brain.
Yeah.
You know,
And
the best metaphor I have for meditation, because what knocks people out of meditation is my mind wanders too much. I can't. And
you're like,
it,
congratulations, you're alive.
you're alive. Exactly. So if you picture it like this, your brain's like a box and the thoughts are like puppies.
Yep.
And the puppy's job is to get out of the box. That's what puppies do.
Yep.
And get out of the box. But if the puppy gets out of the box, you don't yell at the puppy.
No.
You're not mad at the puppy and you don't think the puppy's a failure or that the box is a failure. You just pick the puppy up and you put it back in the box.
That's it.
And when you're meditating, your thought goes wherever it goes, and then you pick it up and you put it back and you come back to your breath, and the thought
Yeah.
comes and you go back to the breath and the thought. And it's the picking it up and putting it back that trains it to stay in the box. But
Correct.
it's got to leave the box to be able to be brought back to get trained.
Yeah.
It doesn't get trained any other way. And then the best part about that metaphor is if you do that, you get a well-trained dog.
Yeah.
If you
And
do that
it's,
with your brain, you get a
yeah.
well-trained brain. You know, without that, it's squirrel. I mean, and that's where, and our attention
Yeah.
is being pulled by the most distracting device ever invented, ever even conceived. It's in your
Yeah.
pocket, it's in your hand at all times, and it is constantly pulling at your attention.
And it's
There's $1 trillion a
constantly.
year dedicated to getting your awareness over onto their product.
Yeah.
If you don't train your brain, you're going to wind up squirrel.
Well, if you're not training your brain, they're training your brain.
Completely.
Like,
Completely.
and it's all training. It's all dopamine. It's no accident that all the icons of your unreads are red. Like that's all strategic to create fear and anxiety. So then you get dopamine for clicking on it. Actually, a really simple, quick phone hack. I don't know if you know this, but let me show you. And I'll show you the great picture of my dog. But if you turn your phone black and white, it loses its oomph.
Ah, that's really good.
And you will just spend less time on it because it's not giving you that nothing.
That's very
It's just
good.
not giving you anything.
Oh, I will definitely try that. I love that, Sean.
Super easy, incredibly easy hack. And you know what I really appreciate what you were sharing about that in your team is, you know, it goes back to the secret, right? It's not you do this practice of the secret and that's all you do.
Right.
It's you literally said, if I could summarize, your team is doing the same stuff.
Completely.
And then there's an asterisk, or there's a comma and then an and they meditate.
Yeah, so it's who's doing the work is different.
Yeah, it's
doing the work is a different person.
The suit you're wearing to show up to work is evolving, and it's getting nicer and more refined. And, and then you're showing up feeling better and stronger and more powerful. I kind of briefly was sharing this with you, but for the past year and a half, I have been incredibly blessed by all of these conversations with past guests. And I started working with Susie Adamson, and I was like, I want to put together a program or a book or something to help agents, really just raise the bar for the industry. And I realized that we're drowning in information, we're drowning in hustle, we're drowning in busyness, but we're dying on the vine with execution, the practice. And we created the Ace Your Day deck. It's just a simple deck of cards.
I love that.
But each deck of cards is a different section of the business to focus on. So like hearts, for example, are relationships, but spades, and I think you'll appreciate this, the 8 of spades is the card. Each card is intended to be done for 15 minutes, but the 8 of spades specifically is breathe, meditate, or take a walk. Rest your mind and body and focus.
Great.
Your goal is to be calm, centered, and resourceful for when approaching clients. That's it. And that's your 15 minutes to recalibrate.
I love it. I love it.
And I'm curious, you mentioned you're for the 9 weeks you meet once a week, and then you do different meditations. What are the different meditations?
It's breath awareness the first week, then body scan, then metta, loving kindness meditation.
Okay.
Then walking and eating meditations. Then labeling meditations, basically noticing what meaning you assign to life. And then open awareness, focused attention. So practicing.
Yeah.
So it's called How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World, but you don't get to gratitude till week 7. Because mostly the problem with gratitude is that we try and start there. Gratitude journals, start there. Let's just start with gratitude. But then you have no way to handle all this shit that's fucked. You don't have any way to deal with that.
It's true.
So you wind up putting icing on dog shit, pretending it tastes like cake. It's all toxic positivity. We have no lack of toxic positivity in our industry.
Yeah.
It is never going to be all good. That's like an insane. Life is suffering. This is like
life is suffering.
Well, that's the Buddhist principle, but
It's
because
true.
we are attached. So anyway, 6 weeks of just practicing, training your brain to be in the present moment, the way it is, the way it isn't, at noticing and just being with things the way they are. And being okay with it. You got to grapple with the difference between something being acceptable and accepting it. Which is a whole thing, because we think if we accept it, we're saying it's acceptable, and that's not true.
It's not true.
That's not what that means.
Yeah.
You've got to find it, but it is happening.
Yeah.
So you've got to find a way to deal with it. So 6 weeks, then it goes gratitude, and then a practice called RAIN, which is a meditation around dealing with things when life is a dumpster fire, and then generosity, which is really your lifelong access to gratitude is generosity, because it's hidden from most of us that one side of the hand is gratitude, the other side of the hand is generosity. They always arise together, but we often miss those connections. But if you don't go through, there's no hack for this. If you don't go through if you don't practice, you don't discover it, and then it's it's like, for me, meditation for most people lives like flossing. It's a good idea. I agree with it. I like it. You should do it. I'll do it right before I go to the dentist. Flossing, yay. But only 10% of the population flosses on a daily basis. But everyone brushes their teeth.
That's true.
And no one misses brushing their teeth. So if we can turn meditation from flossing to brushing your teeth, I win. That's my goal in life, is to have meditation be like, I wouldn't miss 10 minutes. I just wouldn't miss my 10 minutes.
And it's 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes. Are you going to argue with me? In hustle culture, I swear, you get agents that are like, I don't have 10 minutes. And then you're like, okay, you got to stop and breathe and just explain that to me. You are going to you get to live the life you argue for. So if you want to argue for you don't have 10 minutes, you get to live that life. Knock yourself out, my brother. Is peace.
Do you know what's really interesting? I had a sales manager years ago, and I made reference to wanting to make more, and he pulled me aside. He's like, you can't make more. You can create it, you can earn it, you can generate it, but you can't make it. And then we kind of had a separate conversation. He's like, much like you can't make time, you can allocate it, but you can't make it. We all have the same hours.
All doing the same hours.
I'm always very careful when somebody, or I listen for when somebody's like, oh, I can't make 10 minutes. You're right. You can't make it, but you can allocate it. I'm sure you can look at your phone and go to the settings and see how much hours were spent on Instagram.
Scrolling. That's
And
right.
you can subtract 10 minutes from one of those sessions.
I have yet to stay in bed scrolling and be happy when I got out of bed that I spent that time scrolling.
This is interesting. I was just diagnosed with ADHD at 50. And I've, even years prior, I realized that if I spend too much time on Instagram or any of the socials, the best way for me to describe it is the inside of my mind feels like a popcorn machine. And it's just like thought. And it gets exponentially worse the more I'm on it. And it's so toxic. And then I do find the inverse. If I really do carve out and allocate that time to specifically sit down and do that reset and erase the chalkboard and start fresh, I find that internal chaos, it just drops. Like the volume gets turned way down.
It's great. Yeah, it's fabulous. It's exactly how that works. Your brain is a muscle in that way, and you can train it the way you train any muscle. And that don't is just lazy. It's just no lazier than no. It's no different than just I don't go. No one sits on the couch and eats Cheetos and goes, I can't believe my body isn't work. And no one goes to the gym and works out once and goes, okay, now I'm done. I went to the gym. No one thinks that. No one's like, oh, I can't believe it. I dieted last year. Why am I gaining weight now? It's not a connection anyone makes. And it's the same thing with your brain. I've been lazy with my brain.
Yeah, and I mean, and to draw all those connections, to your point, it's like you don't go to the gym, lift once, you're like, well, I'm fit for life, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
It's a practice. It's like any sports team. Game day is when you play all out. All those days up to it are practice, and you're not playing meditation, you're just practicing it, and then it's the cumulative practice gives you the result. It's consistency over time is success. And
100%. Way better 10 minutes a day than trying to do an hour a week.
100%.
Just do it a little bit every day. That's what I love about the cards. It's one practice a day. Do it. Pull a card.
15 minutes, which is also
minutes.
it's the time frame. It's the Goldilocks time frame. It's like the optimal amount of time you can do something without in 100% focus without having distraction. So 10 minutes is literally less than that. And so it's bullshit if somebody can't carve out the time.
It's 100% bullshit.
But I love that in the 9 weeks that you go through different series of it, because there are different meditations. And in my experience, certain styles and ways just feel and resonate better.
And you'll get to find the ones that work for you. And then, I'm approaching the end of 2 different cohorts now, and I'm just letting people know, look, the point of these 9 weeks wasn't to handle something. The point of the 9 weeks was to give you enough results to have you work enough to get enough results that you would see this is like brushing your teeth. You just wouldn't miss it. No one stops brushing their teeth and thinks, well, dental hygiene is bullshit. I have to do this again. No one thinks that. No. You do it every day, because every day your mind is going to get scattered, and you're going to just take the time it takes to settle it back down. And every time you get to build, you get to create something. And every day you're a new person. Unlike brushing your teeth, your brain can get stronger rather than weaker over time. True.
Yeah, and for me, for having ADHD, my default setting is to just rush through everything.
Yeah.
And so if I do take that minute to remind myself, like, hey, slow down, enjoy this, be right here.
Yeah.
And it's a game changer.
It's a game changer. It's fabulous.
Aaron, man, this was awesome. You're so interesting, and I really love the way that you think about business and you approach it. It's refreshing.
The opportunity, Sean. I really do. Like I said, I listen to your show. I think it's the commitment, the heart behind it. There's nothing behind it except, hey, like the meditations. Maybe this will stick. Maybe this practice will stick. Not everyone's going to do everything. Not everyone's going to, but something's going to stick. Yeah. And if it makes 1 degree of difference at launch, it goes to a different planet, and that's all you need.
That is the whole entire, you just encapsulated the whole spirit of this podcast.
Yeah,
Is
it's obvious. It's obvious. You should know.
there's
We've never
sadly
spoken before, just so everyone knows. It's not like Sean and I are old friends.
no,
I,
right?
I can tell that's the heart behind this.
Yeah, it's
It's obvious.
I genuinely think there's a massive gap in our, and I very much agree with you. There's a hustle mentality. There's like get this shit done, work harder and grind and burn yourself out. And I think it's just that there's a lot of poor messaging, and I feel like we collectively need to, we can learn from each other, and
We
we can learn
can.
these best practices. And somebody, I'm hoping that somebody picks up, oh, I can feed myself first. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then I can approach my clients and I can show up in a different way.
You put on
And
your
you know,
oxygen mask first. Then that's just how that works.
yeah.
So
This is amazing, and it sounds like you have a program, a book coming out. What's the best way for somebody to reach out and get those things?
well, they can go to aaronhendon.com/real estate 180, and there'll be a landing page there for people to sign up. If depending on when this drops and when the book's out, it'll
Okay.
either be the offer for the book with a special offer for your listeners, right, where they can
Dude,
get
that's
the,
amazing. Thank you.
they can get the audio and the print for one price, or if it's in pre-release, it'll be in pre-release. And then if they're
Awesome.
interested in getting their team trained or finding out more about the trainings, they can fill out a form on that page too. So aaronhendon.com/real, was it Realtor 180? Yeah.
Realtor 180, yeah. Well, actually, I'll put the link in the description below,
Great.
so if somebody's listening, they can just click through, and it'll be easy peasy for them. Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, Sean, it was a pleasure, real pleasure. I loved it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.